Behind every man called by God is a woman who carries the weight of that calling too. Even when her name isn't in the headline, Sarah didn't just support Abraham. She lived through the silence, uncertainty, and the sacrifice that came with the promise. In today's talk, we are looking at what her quiet strength teaches us about standing beside someone with a vision, and why spiritual alignment and emotional courage are essential to every godly marriage. So, whether you are married, preparing for marriage, or standing beside someone with a vision, or if you have ever asked, how do I follow when I didn't hear what God said? Today's talk is for you. We are unpacking how this quiet, often overlooked act of God-filled partnership, strength, unity, and trust can make a godly marriage thrive, even when the road ahead is unknown and foggy. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to Truth Talk, where we share God's word in very practical ways to encourage and guide you on your journey so you enjoy your life, enjoy your relationships, and love what you do. My name is Ijoma Anyao. Today we want to continue our journey with Sarah, the wife of Abraham. Remember, we are talking about lessons from Sarah. So, the last 3 episodes have been basically about me, a man lesson or lessons. But now we're going to continue with lessons, just general lessons that we can all draw from the life of Sarah. I've shared mine, some of the things I learned and how we use Sarah to clarify some of those things. Now, as we continue the journey, we're just going to be looking at Sarah and picking lessons from her life. And so today's episode is just about that. Lessons that we can pick from this very virtuous woman's life. You can't talk about Sarah without talking about marriage, because her life has lots of lessons that we can learn, whether you are married or whether you are preparing to be married, and whether you are getting tired of the marriage or whether you are enjoying the marriage. Sarah's life will be a great encouragement to you. Let me read from Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your native country, your relatives and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on the earth will be blessed through you." So Abraham departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and all the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and he headed for the land of Canaan. I'll stop there. So this is Abraham, Sarah, and his entire household, possessions. They have all left Haran and they are headed for Canaan. Let's look at Sarah and her husband Abraham, 2 old people moving from Haran with everything they have. They are no longer children. They are elderly people. They had everything going for them. So they were not living because things were not working. No. As a matter of fact, they were doing very well. But God calls Abraham and he decides to answer the call, and Sarah, his wife, of course, follows Abraham. Let's bring out some lessons from this. And the first one is that Sarah willingly followed her husband. She willingly followed her husband. We said these talks on the patriarchs of old. They are to help us on our own journey. In these times where we are faced with these kind of challenges, but there are all kinds of examples around us, examples that are not helping us. And so we are looking at the lives of these who have gone before us to redirect our eyes to where we need to be looking and learning from, so that we can also make a success of our own journeys. Because these are men and women of faith who have gone ahead. And so as we look at these lessons, I want you to bear that in mind. Lessons we are drawing for our own journey, for your journey and for my journey. She was willing to follow. She didn't say, go ahead, I am too old. Behind every man called by God is a woman who is also carrying that call. Many times we don't hear her voice, but she is there. Many times her name is not mentioned, but she is there. So Sarah was there. We don't often hear her name. We don't even hear her voice. Actually, if you read Genesis, from this point of the call, you don't hear Sarah's voice. This is chapter 12. You don't hear her voice until the 16th chapter, and yet she was there. She didn't just follow Abraham. She was a huge support, living through every moment of the journey, going through every second of the journey. The harshness of the weather, managing the situation with your household and every other thing, Sarah was there through it all. But we didn't hear her voice. Sometimes we are too much in a hurry to be heard. Especially if you were someone who already had a voice. Maybe you were loud. Maybe you were in ministry before. Maybe you had an amazing job before and you got married, especially for us women. You want also your voice to be heard. I remember that when I got married, for example, and I was pregnant with my first child, I remember that for those first 3 months, I was not myself. I couldn't keep anything down. I was just nauseous all the time. It was a very new experience for me. I remember thinking that if this was something you could carry, and then if it becomes too heavy, you can return it. I remember thinking I would have returned it because I was that uncomfortable. I was that uncomfortable. And I remember that because I was going through all of these things, I could no longer do the things I was doing as a single, before I got married, as a single missionary with my work on top of things. I couldn't. In fact, those 3 months, I was literally on the bed. And I remember that I used to feel so bad. What kind of thing is this? I felt horrible. You know, it was not a comfortable experience at that point, but it was part of the journey. Because I remember that in that space, there was this time I just felt like I just need to get out of the room, because I was in the room like all the time. I was eating in the room. I would only come out to have a bath, you know, and and then after that, I'll just be lying on the bed all day long. And so that day, I just thought I need to go for a walk. And I was just taking a walk and I was just not feeling good. And I remember the Lord speaking to my heart, Ijoma, what is happening to you is normal. This is part of your journey. You are with child, and this is part of it. You need to calm down in your mind and just accept this phase of your journey, because I was feeling like I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing. And what people will be thinking about me, all those things were bugging me. And the Lord spoke to my heart. Forget about all of that and face this season of the journey. For me, that was a huge breakthrough. It was a huge relief to know that God was not looking at me in a negative way, the way that others may have been looking at me. But that in that season, God was saying, Ijoma is all right. That is what this season is. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody, some people are there, they are pregnant and they feel okay. But the point I'm trying to make was about my mindset, the way I was thinking. And so I can imagine that Sarah was going through this. It was not a pleasant situation that she was going through at 64 years old. But Sarah quietly followed. Quietly followed. So that's a lesson to learn. Sometimes we want to be, like I said, we want to be heard. But just know that that season you are, if you're a young wife, you got married not too long, you are pregnant, and you're feeling bad. The way I was feeling. You are feeling like you are missing out. And people are even telling you, because people told me to my face. Somebody even looked at me and called me lazy in that season. So you may be there. I want you to know that that season is a season. Seasons come and go. Your voice does not need to be heard right now. Enjoy that season. I'm not saying that if you have the opportunity and God says talk, you shouldn't. I'm just saying, don't feel disoriented because you are in that season of your life. Take every day as it comes. Embrace your journey with quietness and trust. Embrace your journey. So that's one lesson we can take from Sarah. She followed in quietness, embracing her own journey. Another thing we can learn here is that marriage is a partnership in purpose. Abraham went as the Lord had asked him, and Sarah went with him. She was not just marrying a man, she had joined a mission. And that's one thing you need to understand as a person of faith, that when you get into marriage, it's not just, I'm married now. Mission fulfilled. Purpose complete. No, that's the beginning of that season of your life. A woman's life has seasons, even a man's life. But a woman's life, the seasons are more conspicuous. From when you are single and then you are married. Initially, it's just the two of you getting to know yourselves, and then there's this addition that comes into the family. You start having children. So it's a season. It's another season of your life. So you need to enter that marriage is a mission. It's an assignment. Before now, with our own parents and parents before, especially those who didn't know the Lord, if you come from a background where, you have father, grandfather, great-grandfathers who know the Lord, yours is different. So you have this generational heritage of godliness is different. But if you come from a generation where God was not part of it, you know that usually marriage is just come in, have children, and life goes on. Nobody is talking about purpose. No. Just have children, let them grow up, become responsible, let them find work, make their family proud, and that's it. Nobody was talking about purpose. Nobody was thinking about assignments. But as we grow into the faith and as we understand God's mind better, we get to understand that marriage is an assignment, it's a mission. is a mission. You need to have that in your heart and in your mind, that when you get into that marriage, God has a plan for that marriage. That's why it cannot be about one person. It cannot be just about the man. It cannot be just about the woman. So even though Abraham was the person God spoke to here, this whole marriage wasn't about Abraham. It was about the purpose of God. And without Sarah, that purpose would not have been possible. He needed Sarah to birth the child through whom the descendants would come as the Lord had promised. So every person, both of you, are important in this mission. And that's why from the onset, even before you step into that marriage, you need to be sure that this is what the Lord is saying. You need to be sure that this is the person that you are supposed to be working with on this mission. That this is somebody that you are comfortable or in your heart, can lead you on this mission. You need to be sure. You need to be sure. And by me saying sure, it's not you trying to work things out with your human understanding. No, it's you trying to know whether this is the Lord. Because if he's the one, then he's going to guide you in a way that the purpose gets fulfilled. So marriage it's an assignment, it's a purpose. And both of you are working together as partners to achieve God's purpose for the marriage. Did you hear what I said there? Both of you are working together as in a partnership to see that God's purpose is fulfilled. This is so important. If we understand this, if we have that on our minds, it becomes easier to walk through life each day, to connect and to walk through the issues that may come, because no marriage is perfect, just like no relationship is perfect. If you are sincerely working with someone in any relationship, whether it's just friendship, if you are sincerely working together, there will be times of misunderstanding. So we don't run away from misunderstandings, but we deal with them because we love the relationship, we want to stay together, we find a way to deal with issues without destroying the relationships. The same thing applies to the marriage union. When we are aware that, look, God has a purpose of this that is bigger than me, I don't allow my personal interests or my personal ambitions to become a hindrance to the union. I don't. So before I do things, I want to be sure, is this what God is wanting for this marriage? As the husband, as the wife, both sides. As the wife, you are following, not because he's better and greater, but because in this union, this is the way the Lord has said. He's the head, so I submit. Not because he's greater, no, but because this is just the way the Lord has ordained it, has structured it. And for us to fulfill his purpose, we must follow his structure, because that's where his blessings will rest. God will not bless what he has not ordained. We need to understand that as believers. God will not bless our own concussions. God will not bless it. He already has his own way of doing things, his own principles, his guidelines. And if we want to experience his blessings, we need to follow those guidelines. We need to follow his plan. So Sarah and Abraham were on a mission together. So you and your husband or your wife understand that you are on a mission together. So with that, we bring today's talk to an end. In our next episode, we'll continue on these valuable lessons that we can learn from the life of Sarah. I want you to comment down below. What was your takeaway from today's talk? Comment down below. And I want you to review it. I want you to rate today's talk. Review and rate today's talk. And if you are on YouTube and you have been blessed by today's talk, please give this video a huge thumbs up. Hit the subscription button. Hit the notification button, because we are going to be dropping these kind of life transforming videos every single week by the grace of God. And you don't want to miss it. Also, share this video with somebody. You may just be saving a home and a family. Until our next talk, I am Ijoma Anyao. Bye-bye for now.